Indeed, all praises, the praise is due to Him and only Him. For it is He that we turn to escape the evil consequences of our actions. Indeed, it is He that we turn to look for forgiveness, for mercy. Indeed, it is He who sent His beloved slave and messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the true deen, and it is indeed He who will make this prevail over all other adyan, even though the disbelievers may hate it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His blessings and peace down upon His beloved slave and messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions and his family. Ameen. قال الله تعالى كما ورد في سورة الفجر بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والفجر وليال عشر والشفع والوتر والليل إذا يسر هل في ذلك قسم لذي حجر ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بعاد إرم ذات العماد التي لم يخلق مثلها في البلاد وثمود الذين جابوا الصخر بالواد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد فأكثروا فيها الفساد فصب عليهم ربك صوت عذاب إن ربك لبالمرصاد صدق الله العظيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم أرنا حق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا باطلا باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه آمين يا رب العالمين. My dear brothers and sisters, for the past couple of months, we've been going through a state of anxiety post-elections. And that anxiety has now turned into the shock, the cold shock that one feels when you jump into the pool of cold water. It's there, it's arrived. But before we sound all gloomy and dreary and become dreadful, we as Muslims have this reassurance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where in Surah Al-Baqarah He says, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And perchance, you may hate something and there is good in it for you. And perchance, you may love something and there is evil in it for you, loss for you. Allah knows and we don't know. Now that forming our foundation, now let's proceed and try to analyze what happened and what may be in store for us and what is the indicator for us as an ummah, as a community. And I've been thinking about these ayahs from Surah Al-Fajr, and for the longest period of time these ayahs did not come together as a unit, but over the past 3 or 4 months they make a complete sense as a unit, and they are not disjointed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts the surah swearing. He swears 4 times by the Fajr, the time of dawn. وَلَيَالٍ ash, by the stillness of the night, by the odd and by the even, by the even and by the odd. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْ, again, by the stillness of the night. Consider the night as it runs its course. هَلْ فِي ذَلِكَ قَسْمٌ لَذِي حِجْرٍ. Considering all this, could there be anyone endowed with reason, a more solemn evidence of truth? What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying over there? Then and this is not clear. He's swearing and then he's saying, asking a question. You people with reason, do you not see? Then he explains it further. Have you not seen how your sustainer dealt with the tribe of Ad and that of the many pillared? And then goes on to say how he dealt with Firaun. But then he says one thing. What was it that they were doing? What was the commonality between them? And he says, the commonality between them is that all these people transgressed all bounds of inequity. They were, be it Ad, be it Samud, be it Firaun, they were all creating inequities in their societies, and thereby, as a result of that inequity in the societies, great fasad and tribulations were coming upon the societies. فَأَكْثَرُوا فِيهَا الْفَسَادَ. And when this chain of events happens, man creates inequity in a society. As a result of the inequity of the societies, tribulations afflict the society, injustices become rampant and institutionalized and become part of the societal structure. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala acts. فَصَبَّ عَلَيْهِمْ رَبُّكَ صَوْتَ عَذَابٍ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَبِالْمِرْصَادِ. When all this has been done, you are inviting nothing but the wrath of your Creator upon yourselves. And then ends with another warning. Beware, your Lord is forever watchful. Then, but what has this got to do with us? In the contemporary situation. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes further and he says, explains this chain of events, how does it come about? It comes about by one, the propensity of the man to equate the plenitude of his Lord that he's bestowed upon him as a sign of Allah's favor, and the propensity of man to consider a trial of want as a sign of disfavor with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Christianity, this is very prevalent, the doctrine of abundance. And if you have abundance, that means this is a sign that your Lord is looking upon you favorably, is pleased with you. My African American brothers, your ancestors, the tribulations that they went through were basically one of the pillars that the tribulation was being justified by the slave masters was precisely this. Islam does not say that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not say that either. Whether it is plenty or it is scarcity, both are trials from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In one, the method of passing the trial of plenty, is to give gratitude, to be grateful, to be ever more humble. To pass the trial of scarcity is patience. And if gratitude is not there with plenitude, or patience not there with scarcity, the result is again the same. Because the hadith to remind you of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he was saying that on the day of Qiyamah, 4 people are going to be brought forth in front of the Lord, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One, a rich person, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask him, what did you do with your wealth? And he says, I spent it in the way that was most pleasing to you, taking care of wayfarers, orphans, widows, spending it in charity, and you know it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes, and sends him to Jannah. Then comes a poor person who's asked the same question, what did you do with your wealth? And the poor person said, I did not have much to do, but if I had the wealth, I would have also spent it in the way that would have been pleasing to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala confirms this and sends him to Jannah as well. Then comes another rich person, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks him the same question, what did you do with your wealth? And the opposite answer comes, partying, clubbing, what have you, wine, women, whatever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends him to hellfire. Now comes another poor person. And this case is the most interesting. Allah asks him the same question, what did you do with your wealth? And he says, I didn't have much, but if I had been given the plentiful, I would have done the same, partied, wine, women, and he lands in hellfire. The thing is, the Prophet ﷺ said on another occasion, the affair of the mu'min is strange. If he is blessed with plentiful, he is grateful, and his Lord is pleased with his gratitude. And if he is afflicted with scarcity, he is patient, and his Lord is again pleased with his patience. The result is the benevolence, the entry into mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then, further on in Surah Al-Fajr, Allah recounts this. That man, when I give him plentiful, he says, I'm blessed, I'm honored by my Lord. When he is tried by scarcity, immediately he says, I have been debased, I have been humiliated by my Lord. And here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately comes with 2 negations, very forceful negations. Kalla, balla. No, no. It's not that your Lord has debased you. It's you who are doing it to yourselves. And how? You don't honor the orphan. Kalla, balla, tukrimun al-yatim. You don't honor the orphan. وَلَا تَحَدُّونَ عَلَىٰ طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ. And you don't feed the poor. وَتَأْكُلُونَ التُّرَاثَ أَكْلًا لَمًّا. And you want to eat up each other's inheritance. وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا. And you love to accumulate wealth. Accumulation. Now you can take these as 4 reasons, and you'd be right, but take them as a progression. Manifestations when a society is sick. You will not honor the orphan, meaning the weak. The weak amongst the society will be downtrodden. injustices will be committed against them. Their interests will not be looked after. Because that's what happens to an orphan. He doesn't have parents, either one or two, and these things transpire with him or her. But tahatuna ta'am al-miskin, and you do not take care of the needs of the needy. Not that necessarily that somebody is going hungry. Going hungry in a society is the ultimate manifestation of something not being right. Something missing in the humanity of the society. And then, when you want to usurp each other's lawful belongings by any or all devious measures. And why would the society come to this? Because the love of accumulation of wealth would drive the society to do all these things. If you and I love accumulation of wealth without being cautious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, why would I want to feed the orphan, or help the orphan, or feed the poor? And why would I not want to dream up schemes to take away what you have and augment what I have? And then this takes us back to the first one. What happens in the society when this happens? Bring it back to the contemporary. Articles upon articles are now being written. The election results were basically being attributed to the fact that there was immense discontent in Middle America. Now, as a society, as long as this discontent was limited in the inner cities, and when I say inner cities, we all know which particular section of the society I'm referring to. As long as it was limited to the inner cities, these things were okay, quote, unquote. As a society, there was tolerance, there was societal tolerance for this inequity, as long as it was in the inner cities. But now, it has afflicted inner America, Middle America. And articles upon articles are saying, what is the commonality between inner cities and Middle America? Addiction. High rates of addiction in Middle America. 1 out of 6 white American workforce age able is outside the labor. Doesn't even register in the statistics of unemployment. High rates of codeine addiction, family degeneration, domestic abuse and violence, deteriorating educational structures, all compounding and all indicators of failure to progress the economic ladder, up the economic ladder. So much so that even the life expectancy gap has opened up in Middle America, in terms of white Middle America, where a non-college graduate or a high school dropout's life expectancy now is less than 13 years than a college grad white person. However, there is a wrong question being asked by them. America, primarily being a society that's defined by race, even this critical question as to what is wrong with the society, the right question is not being asked. and I shall come to this, what is our responsibility as Muslims. But first this middle America looks at himself or herself in the mirror and says, I look at the reflection and I see a white person looking back at me. However, when I look at my condition, I see a black person. Why is this happening to me? And this is primarily what gave the election results what we had. Van Jones called it the white lash. If you do some research, you'll see what I'm talking about is being written about and is being accepted. But where do we fit in? This is the time for us, Muslims in general, to bring forth an example of humanity, to live the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And let me tell you, it's not an easy task, because we find when we refer to Seerah or the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, we've been programmed to look at the pages of the books, and while we find his blessed Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's blessed example in those pages, we miss one very important lesson over there. And that important lesson is the books have compressed the time into a few pages, the entire life, the blessed life of the Prophet ﷺ and his blessed companions. And what we have to realize when we look at the Prophet ﷺ is that his was a lived reality. His was a lived reality, a reality that was being lived every year, every month, every week, every hour, every minute, every second. And no book can give you that unless you and I are consciously able to relate our daily lives to the Prophet ﷺ and understand this moral superiority and this moral leadership that he exercised over his companions. Take the Meccan period. The Prophet ﷺ historically did not experience the torture, the physical torture or physical discomfort as we commonly talk about, to the degree that his companions did. Khabab radiallahu ta'ala anhu was made to lie on hot coals, and those coals went cold with the fat of the back of his blessed body. Mother of Yasir, Sumayya radiallahu ta'ala anha, was tied to 4 camels, and each camel made to go and run in a different direction, and she was literally torn limb to limb. See the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and you will find that many times while the companions in Mecca are being tortured, the Prophet ﷺ is sitting comfortably in the shade of Kaaba. Not to say that he did not feel it, he did. But what was the reason that this seemingly aloof behavior of the Prophet ﷺ was never cited by the Quraysh to the Muslims to invite them to come out the fold of Islam. Moral leadership. The moral leadership of the Prophet ﷺ was so evident on his followers that they would not even countenance to say it with their tongues, a refutation of the Shahada, to ease their physical travails. This moral leadership is something that we as Muslims aspire to and should aspire to in this country. And this moral leadership does not come about except through a lived reality of the Prophet ﷺ. Every year, every month, every week, every hour, every minute, every second. It is up to us to provide this healing to the society at large. And amongst us, the leadership that the group of Muslims who are the leaders and should take that leadership role are my African American brothers and sisters. The historical consciousness of the African American, especially now the Muslim African American, is invaluable for the society of America. No other group of Muslims is either capable or, in my estimation, will be successful in putting this balm of healing to the society at large, if not the African American brothers and sisters. And I say it with fullest conviction. My dear brothers and sisters, yes, the times we are entering may be tougher times. But this is exactly the moment for us to be like the Sahaba who were with the Prophet ﷺ at the time of Ahzab. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept that alive till the day of Qiyamah in the Quran. First, He contrasts the behavior of the Munafiqun when He says, Ba'da auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, in the Surah Ahzab, وَإِذْ يَقُولُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ وَالَّذِينَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ مَرَضٌ مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. And when they say, the hypocrites in whose heart there is a great disease, what was promised to us by Allah and His Prophet ﷺ was nothing but illusions, falseness. And in response, those with the Prophet ﷺ said, looking at this great army that was arrayed against them across the trench, facing the hungers, facing the tribulation, facing the cold, all worldly indicators seem to be against them. And they said this, وَلَمَّا رَأَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الْأَحْزَابَ, and when the mu'minun saw the Ahzab, قالوا, they said, هذا ما وعدنا الله ورسوله وصدق الله ورسوله وما زادهم إلا إيمانا وتسليما. And when they saw the Ahzab, they said, this is exactly what Allah and the Prophet ﷺ promised us. This is exactly that.